My name is Ann Purvis, and I'm one of the leaders of the Toronto Field Naturalist Juniors program. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock for 1 hour. And yesterday we just completed the 6th session in a 10-week series. We start each of our sessions with a slideshow of photos that our participants have sent in of nature adventures they've been on that week. Also, they like to submit photos of artwork, nature art that they have done, and that is very special. So this week, Amara sent in this picture of the trillium, and we were considering why trilliums are so special in Ontario. It is the provincial flower, and at this time of year, right now, any patch of forest which is original may have been lumber may have been taken off it, but if it has never been developed, then the forest floor will be covered with trilliums in southern Ontario. The photo on the right is a redbud tree, and redbud is a very odd-looking tree because the flowers appear to come straight out of the wood. It is not really native to Toronto, but to southwestern Ontario in the Carolinian zone, which is a little bit warmer. But it's a terrific pollinator, and often we find it covered with bees and insects. Marina and Sonia live close to a forest, and they photographed many warblers in migration this past week. I have paired them so that we could begin to learn to spot the differences between them. And we also had fun playing with names that we would have called them if we'd had the opportunity to name them. So we can see the yellow rumped warbler on the right has a white throat, yellow patches under the wings, and a yellow spot at the base of the tail, which we can't actually see here. This warbler used to be called the myrtle warbler because it only migrates to the United States, and it can survive, it can switch its diet to eating myrtle berries all winter. Most of our warblers fly a great deal further than that. The black-throated green flies up from the Caribbean and Mexico and northern South America. So it has black throat, yellow face with a black eye stripe, and a green back. Black-throated green warbler. So both of these warblers are quite yellow. They have very strong yellow belly. The warbler on the left is the yellow warbler with red stripes on its belly. The warbler on the right has a gray face with a white eye ring, and it's called the Nashville warbler. No one really knows why it's called the Nashville warbler, except that it was perhaps sighted there first. Everyone thought the warbler on the left should be called the zebra warbler. It is actually the black and white warbler. And we had two ideas for names for the warbler on the right, the masked bandit, and another one was the suit warbler because it looks like it's wearing a suit. So it has a black mask over its eyes and a lovely blue back. It's called the black-throated blue warbler. The warbler on the left is like a jewel of the songbird migration with its yellow belly and black stripes and black and white eye stripe. It's called the magnolia warbler. The warbler on the right has a brown stripe under its wings and a green head. It's called the chestnut-sided warbler. So we looked at these two, challenged ourselves to know if these are the same bird. In fact, they are, with the faint eye stripe and sort of the yellow wash on the belly. This is called the warbling vireo and has a beautiful call, even though it's a little bit of a plain-looking bird. We looked at these two photos of red-winged blackbirds, and someone knew that the bird on the left is the female, and the bird on the right with the bright red shoulders is the male. The female from above would be very invisible while brooding her eggs. Redwings build their nest out of cattails, attached to cattails, so if she was on top of that, she would melt right into the environment around her. Sienna sent in this photo of this little video of woodpecker, and I was thinking about what he might be doing.
We have a couple of woodpeckers.
This is actually a very good looking tree, very healthy looking tree, And it's very unlikely that this downy woodpecker is trying to excavate a cavity for nesting. It's much more likely that he is looking for bugs in this tree.
Send this to Anne. We have a couple.
Abby sent in these two photos of flowers, and I really like the idea of trying to give us an idea of the size of something. This was a huge dandelion which almost filled her palm, and we can see that here. She laid her palm down beside it. On the right is a picture of a wild ginger flower. We've seen several pictures of wild ginger with their furry heart-shaped leaves this season. You have to peek underneath the leaves to see this beautiful burgundy flower close to the ground, and it's terrific for mining bees in the spring. Thanks to Amara for these pictures of snails and slugs. She noticed this opening in the right side of the slug. Apparently it's not always open, so that's cool that she saw it. It is called the pneumostome, and apparently air goes in there into an area that has a lot of blood vessels where the blood can extract the oxygen out of the air. Thank you for doing that research and explaining that to us, Amara. Land snails also have a pneumostome, but it's very much more difficult to see because of the shell. In these photos, we can also see the two pairs of antennae, the top longer ones where it have eyes on them, and the lower ones have tactile sensors. Bryn lives in my neighborhood, and she was leaving to go to Australia, so they were over visiting us, and we turned up this stump and found this huge pupa underneath. I guess it was almost as long as my thumb. I was very excited because last summer I found this caterpillar right here on the left, this white caterpillar, climbing along some Virginia creeper and grapevine that was stretching along a hydro wire just above where that stump was. I brought it inside and I gave it Virginia creeper leaves and grapevine to find out what it would eat, and kept it for quite a while. After a few days, I went in once, and the little white, there was a little white piece of cloth where the caterpillar had been, and out of that skin had emerged the caterpillar on the right with its dapper little socks, striped socks, and beautiful eye on the front, which looks like a mammal eye and is probably a way of scaring off predators. So after a while, this caterpillar on the right would climb down the Virginia creeper in nature, and it would bury itself in the ground, as we saw, and it would turn into a pupa. And then this spring sometime, out of that pupa will come an Abbott's sphinx moth, which is a very large moth. So I'll look forward to seeing whether there is one around in my garden. I think that it probably waits to emerge until the Virginia creeper leaves are fully open, which they are not right now. They're still in bud. We see a lot of garlic mustard everywhere these days in our forests and meadows. Garlic mustard is a very serious invasive plant. It gives off toxins that kill off the mycorrhizae in the soil that permit trees to gather nutrients and minerals. However, garlic mustard can be eaten. Some people make garlic mustard pesto out of it. Marina here has made green eggs and ham. She used the garlic mustard to flavor an omelet and said it didn't strongly flavor it. The other night we ate garlic mustard sauteed with garlic, and it was very delicious. It tasted just like spinach. So today we're discussing plastic, and I thought that it was very interesting to look at this picture of the hard work of a pileated woodpecker ripping apart a dead tree to get at ants, and to realize that all of the shards that he's taken off this tree are going to be recycled and turned back into soil that some other living creature can use. That is not the way people do. We have been doing things in our culture. We have been creating a lot of plastic materials that simply cannot be recycled. They can't be turned into anything else. They just become garbage. On the right, Amara also found this mass of material, and she wondered if it was an owl pellet. She found that it was full of fur when she opened it up. Usually owl pellets have a lot of little bones in them from the mammal that the owl has eaten, so it's kind of hard to say if it was that or it might have been fecal material from a coyote. So we visited East Point Park in Scarborough to birdwatch. There's some beautiful parks along our Lake Ontario shoreline for seeing the songbird migration, and we had a lovely time there. We saw many warblers and eastern phoebes and yellow-shafted flicker and yellow-bellied sapsucker. It was a lovely day, and just at the end we saw these two piles of garbage which surprised us, full of plastic items. So we can see in it plastic water bottle, coffee cup lined with plastic, plastic straw, plastic hat made of polyester, which would be plastic, plastic bags, book covered with plastic, a crinoline here, which is plastic. So I'm not sure what happened here, whether someone threw a bag of garbage and it split open or what, but in our class yesterday, we wanted to think about why plastic in the environment is bad for wildlife, what happens to wildlife when they encounter plastic. So the little video that we watched to help us understand this is been incorporated into the blog post today.